All right. Hi, friends. It looks like I am live, but I'm going to wait for my phone and my laptop to catch up with me here because there's always a little bit of a delay. Here we are. Let's mute that. I'm up on my phone as well. And so we are good to go. All right. Well, welcome, friends, to our Tuesday card making live. My name is Leah, and I am happy to be here with you guys today. So we have a lot to do on this card. So I'm going to go over all of the usual, but then we're going to get right into it because there's kind of a lot of steps to this card today. But just waiting for Heather to jump in. She will be the person moderating behind the Pinkfresh Studio name whenever she pops into comments. And I see we've got people are finding us and popping in. So we're super welcome. We're super happy that you guys are here today and joining us for our card making live. Welcome. I see we've got Ruth and Cheryl and Jane and Rick and Linda, Jane again, Stephanie, lots of people so far. All right. Well, while we're waiting for Heather to jump on, let's just start going over the stuff that we always go over. Like I mentioned, we have a lot to do today in today's card. So I do want to get going as quickly as possible. So first and foremost, welcome. If you're new here, let us know in the comments. We love to know and we love to welcome you. Once I flip the camera around and I start creating, I don't see as many comments, but when Heather pops in, she'll see what I miss when it comes to welcoming new people, answering questions, all of that good stuff. So since I don't see as many comments, once I start creating, this is just a nice blanket. Hello, welcome, new and veteran. We're happy that you're here. So we give away a $15 gift card code, and I'm going to pause because it looks like Heather's commenting wasn't working, but I'm going to let her know now that it is showing up now. So it seems it has figured itself out. Gotta love technology some days, right, friends? Anyway, we give away a $15 gift card code at the end of every live. Heather picks that winner randomly from all of the comments. So all you have to do is just chat with us in the live chat. Another way to gain an entry is somewhere underneath this video. There is a little arrow button that says share next to it. Click on that and you can share it. There's lots of places you can share it. You can share it on your own personal Facebook page. You could share it in an Instagram story. You could share it. Maybe you have a crafty email or direct message with some of your crafty friends, and you could email it there. And finally, you can share it in a Facebook crafting group if that you're a part of, but make sure that you know the rules and make sure that it follows the rules. There are some that don't like that. Here in the comments, let us know that you shared, and that's just an extra entry into the giveaway, which I mentioned Heather will pick at the end of the live. I do notice that my comments on my phone keep erroring out, so maybe YouTube is having a little glitchy with comments today, so bear with us if that is happening to you guys. Nothing we can do about that. So also bear with us if Heather happens to have struggle with replying to things. Now, something that is also super helpful is if you can give this video a thumbs up. It's not an extra entry or anything like that, but it does help the videos reach both now and upon replay. We are currently migrating to a new email platform. And so I did notice today I sent the first email to a small group of people for today's live. It went out right on time. So loving that. Fingers crossed that this stays the same And then once we get migrated to this new email platform, it's going to be more user friendly to update the emails that you want to get from us. And I will send out a big email to our entire list once we're fully migrated for updating email preferences. And that will make it easier to make sure you're getting the emails that you want from Pinkfresh Studio, including live email reminders. Currently, we send it to a pretty small group of people. But if you were having troubles getting your email preference updated on the previous email platform, rest assured, once we have fully migrated, it's going to be so much simpler. Oh, thank you, Susie. I appreciate that. Okay, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's okay if people are still filtering in. This will be available for replay once I end the live stream, but I need to flip the camera around and we got to get going because I am a slow crafter and I picked a a card with quite a few steps. So I'm going to get my camera switched around and we are going to get going today. Take that off. All right, so here is just a quick overview of the products that I'm going to be featuring today. These are the ink colors I'm using, nice, fresh, and summery. I'm still in summer mode, even though, we're on our way to fall. Fun fact, fall is my favorite season. Um, but I think I'm still just kind of in summer mode right now. So I think we still have plenty of warm days ahead. So we're going to be good. So those are our colors: Coral Reef, Apricot, Lemon Whip. I'm going to be featuring our new Foliage Shaker die set today. I'm going to be featuring our basic banners, Everyday Sentiments, which was not this month's release, but the last month's. And then the overlapping triangles, layering stencils. And these are also new. And then we'll be grabbing just a good basic, our diagonal stitched rectangles. So we are going to start today with our overlapping triangles. I'm going to move my ink out of here. And we're going to grab one ink at a time here. Let's get our desk nice and set up. There we go. I'm glad that you guys are fine with a lot of steps. I did some of them in advance because I knew that if I didn't do some things in advance, that this card live would go on forever. So, but they're inconsequential pieces. So basically just a lot of tedious die cutting and layer stacking. So, all right, let's make sure this is in a good place for the video. Sure is. Cindy, I think we're having some issues with comments and such, so maybe YouTube is just having a little bit of a rough day. So hopefully you can stick with us. If not, this will of course be available for replay once I end the live stream. All right, overlapping triangles is a 4-piece layering stencil set. And in the end, you get these fantastic triangles. Now, something if you're new to our layering stencils, let me see if I can find some glare. They're numbered in the upper left corner. However, you can always rearrange those. I rearrange them all of the time to put them in the order that makes more sense for my brain. Today, I am using them in the exact order. And then you'll notice that there are little alignment guides in each corner, and we're using those today because we are not aligning this stencil to any type of image. Now, if you were using the stencils with a stamped, heat embossed, or foiled image, you would ignore those alignment guides and you would align the stencil openings to the stamped or foiled image. But we are using an A2 sized panel here. So, and these notches are sized exactly for an A2 size panel. So I just took the time to line those notches up on each side. Perfect science. And especially with this set, it's not a big deal if they got a little bit off, like a micro amount off. because we're just making a really fun triangle background. So we are going to start with Coral Reef. And I am going to go with a bigger brush for this layer because the triangles are a little bit bigger. So we will break out the smaller brushes on some of the smaller triangle layers, but because these ones are pretty big, I would be here blending forever if I used those little tiny brushes. So for the sake of time, I'm going to use my bigger brushes. So, and it goes to show that there is a place for all of the different brushes that are out there on the market. Of course, we love using our 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch ones, but sometimes you need the bigger guys. I'm glad you made it as well, Deb. I know that feeling when work gets in the way of things. Right. So feeling good about how Coral Reef looks. So let's get that wiped down. And let's take a look. So we've got the start to our um, triangle background. Elise, absolutely. These would look perfect. The triangles make a really fantastic masculine background. I could see these in greens and blues together, I think would be really awesome. I think there's a lot of different options. Could work. All right. So we are moving on to Apricot. I am going to go ahead and grab my bigger brush for this one too. You know, I may just go with bigger brushes today. Just for the sake of time. Might help me in terms of time. Oh, we'd love to hear that, Diane. And you'll see I've picked nice complementary colors today. So when they blend over top of one another, and they don't blend over top of each other a lot, but I didn't want to make a muddy or a icky color. So I did choose colors that were, pretty complementary, where they wouldn't make a bad color combined over top of each other a little bit. Something to be mindful of with this set because there is a little bit of overlapping that happens. Oh, Deb, this triangle set is so fun. And the last stencil, we're actually gonna do something really, really fun with it. So I'm hoping that it will give you even more ideas. All right, so one more stencil with colors. We are moving on to Lemon Wood here. And then we're going to do something a little different with this final stencil. Okay. All right. Then get our final layer of ink done in here. Once again, you'll notice colors are all nice and complementary, blending over top of the other two colors don't make a muddy or a gross color. I'm glad you guys are loving this stencil set. It's a fun one. I used it on a different card for the release that I threw a shaker tag on it. Today I'm actually going to turn this panel into a shaker panel. That's why we have so many steps today, is we're going to turn this into a shaker card. So kind of got a lot on our plate. All right. So we've got our colors in here. So now here's the thing. I need to prep this entire panel with an anti-static powder tool. because we are going to carefully blend in embossing ink into this layer. And then we are going to heat emboss these. We're going to cover it in embossing powder, and we're going to heat emboss this to give it some nice added shine. But we really got to make sure we anti-static powder this entire panel real well, or we're going to have a whole lot of embossing powder stick where we don't want it. So I'm just generously applying it. Oh, Cindy, that would be a great idea. Definitely school colors. So many possibilities with this stencil. That is a great one. All right, let's get this guy nice and lined up here. One thing I am going to say about blending with embossing ink is it is really best to have a nice light touch when you're doing it. I have a brush that I keep. I only use embossing ink on this brush. And but what I'm going to say is it's best to have a real nice light touch when you do it. Don't press too hard because you can easily smudge that underneath the stencil. Oops, my stencil kind of moved. Hopefully smudged up there. I can do a little bit to fix it. But you don't have to do it real hard. Embossing ink is a totally different consistency from dye ink. So you want to have a nice gentle touch. You can always check it and make sure it looks like you're getting enough in there. But if you press too hard, you're going to kind of mush it in where you don't want it. I think we're going to call that good. Let's see if I got this one or not. So we're going to go over it a little bit more. I think I did, but just to be on the safe side. And then you want to, I would not wipe your stencil. I would just pull it directly up. And I got nice, good, clean lines, I think, on most of those. I'm going to leave the embossed stencil on top, but I'll clean these when we're done, just for the sake of time. Okay, so we can move it out of the way here. And now I need to grab a piece of paper. And let's pull this up. And let's tape off the back. We don't want to get my fingers in any embossing ink. And we are going to go with Gold Pearl today. One of my faves, of course. Now I have to find all of those triangles that I just did. You know, and I might have been a little too light-handed with my embossing ink. So these might not be completely perfect, but you know what? They'll at least be a nice little hint. And I'll know for next time I can be a little heavier handed. I think the first time I did this, I was way too heavy handed and I got big, huge lines of embossing powder in areas I didn't want them. You know what? If you just give it a nice second coat, it's actually turning out pretty decent. Okay. And some of these are going to get cut away when covered by the shaker leaves. So I think in the end, all will be okay. Well, Marcia, that's a good question. I thought I had gotten pretty good coverage on that one, but I can tell by some of them that I didn't get perfect coverage. So I'm just wiping away. My dye ink was not fully dry yet, so it is kind of sticking a little bit, especially to that yellow. So I'm just taking this away. So that one, I guess, is you kind of have to guess a little bit if you know you're getting enough coverage or not. You'll see I didn't quite get enough coverage on some of these, but I am not going to sweat that. I can always try to cover areas that have some imperfections with either the sentiment, or I know that I'm going to be cutting some of this away to go with um, the shaker element. So I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. So if it goes silent or sounds funny, it's just because Zoom is trying to mute me. And then I will be back once I'm done. And in the end, while it didn't end up perfect, I do kind of like the little bit more distressed look that it gave. So that's super fun. I saw a question. I think that it might have already passed up. So I don't remember. I don't see who it was from. Asking if I designed the product, and I do not design the product. I do not have that talent. So Heather and I do make suggestions, we help edit, but I am not a graphic designer. So we do have great graphic designers that do help bring stuff to life that we think of or have ideas on. But no, I am not the product designer, just a marketing director and sample maker. All right. So I'm just waiting to make sure it feels like my heat embossing is nice and set up here. And it sure is. All right, we are going to go ahead and get this trimmed down first things first. So let's trim it with just the largest diagonal stitch directing. And hopefully, when I go to run it through the machine here, it will also help flatten the panel out a little bit after being heat embossed, because it always tends to make it a little warped, right? There is that. Deb, that is a good point. I could have absolutely gone back over it with more embossing ink. To be honest, I'm kind of enjoying how this looks, not being completely perfect. But that is a good point, and definitely something that I could have done if I wanted to make that embossing a little bit prettier. All right, so now this is where we get a little more technical, because we are going to create basically, like, we're going to turn this into a shaker panel. But I do want everything to be relatively even. So I'm going to take this back down to my surface, and I am going to find where I can find a good middle point for it. Because I've already pre-cut the detail layer, but we are going to use the solid layer to make our shaker windows. I want this guy in the middle. So I need a pencil. And we are going to find the middle. And I think about here. So that I will know where to cut this die from. And, it is perfectly okay if it's not perfect. It's more about just a nice general idea. So then I just want to check this. Maybe that's not quite the middle. No, it is. Okay. So let's grab some nice little small pieces of tape to hold these in place. And then we'll do this one right next door. And then we only have to cut it a second time. Okay. Like that. So together. That is moving on me, of course. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. We really appreciate that. We do work really hard on our products and trying to provide inspiration for our products and different ways to use our products. So we really do appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and run this through my die cut machine and I'll be right back. I'm going to gently got the tape. So we've got the start. Oh, I think I cut through my tape in the background. I did. That was dumb. I don't even really need that tape anymore. It was mostly so I could line up that middle piece. That's funny. That was really stuck on there because it ran through the machine. All right, we are not tossing those because we are going to use those. But sorry, that's a little off camera. We need to cut one more out here. I want it to be, about as close to the other leaf as possible. Oh, Estelle, I think you're going to have so much fun with them once you get them. These leaves are fantastic. So versatile, so many ways to use them. Right, I feel like that's probably enough tape. And let's go ahead and get this guy cut. We can make our shaker window. And I can cut away pieces of tape while that's running through. Just toss pieces of tape, I guess. Okay, and they were not too tacky, so that's perfect. All right, so we have our nice shaker window. And now that this is run through my machine a lot, it's nice and flat. After doing I need embossing. Okay, so let's get our leaves cleaned off here because we can put the dies away. Okay. So let me go ahead and erase my little pencil lines that I added. So one thing that we're going to have to do before we create our shaker window is we actually need to place these onto our card base because I want these to be on the inside. So I want them to stay. They're just going to be popped underneath our shaker. But once we have a shaker window in there, I can't really use this as a guide. So we do have to do it first. So I'm going to grab different card bases that I pulled out for this card today. And I'm going to pick the color that I think will be best. I think that's just too much. And I think that's just too orange. That actually is pretty nice. Or maybe, and I think the pink is just a little too pink. So I think we're going to go with this kind of peachy tone of orange. While it doesn't even really match the orange I used, let me just verify one more time. Also, now that I'm looking at it, once you put these back in, I'm actually kind of really loving the yellow and it matches a little bit better. So I think I'm actually going to change my mind and go with that yellow card base. Well, that sounds fun, Ruth. Okay. So now I am just going to grab a little bit of removable adhesive here. Maybe. And I'm just going to put a little bit of removable adhesive on this panel to keep it in place while I am getting the insides in place. And then for those, we'll just use some liquid glue. And we're just going to put them right back in the same spot they came from. Oh, thanks, Holly. I'm glad I made that switch. I'm glad I looked at it again. I didn't love it at first glance, but then once I took a closer peek at it, I did feel like it actually looked nice and warm and glowy. Okay. All right. Man, comments are just not working super well today. I apologize if you guys are having the same issues. They keep kind of timing out on me. Okay, so now I can pull this guy back up because I've got those in place for popping up over top in order to make our shaker element here. So now let's get our bigger window already. So let's grab, I have a piece of acetate, which I don't know if it'll show up very well. And then I'm just going to use some double-sided, just thin score tape. You don't have to use this thin of score tape, but it's pretty much what I have available. So it's the score tape I'm going to use. And I really like using with score tape for creating shaker windows. The adhesive is nice and strong for holding on to that shaker window element. And it doesn't make a mess. I know a lot of people use liquid glue, but I feel like that I just make a huge mess of for some reason. Oh, thanks, guys. I'm glad you're having a good time watching this card come together. Teresa, if you ever, here's a little tip. If you make a shaker card and you notice you have some areas where shaker filling is coming out, I actually suggest taking your liquid glue with your nice little tip and just filling it in, filling that spot in. That's what I do when I have and especially if like I filled the shaker with glitter, and that escapes out of things much easier than other things do. So if you just fill in your little holes with liquid glue sets up and it just creates a nice little block that the filling can't get out of anymore. So I do that a lot when I make traditional shaker cards. Oh, thank you, Estelle. Okay, so now let's get our shaker window on the back here. And I think we don't have any peeking out the sides, so I think we're good on that. All right, so let's go ahead now and apply some foam tape to the back. So for foam tape, I am using the 3D foam tape from iCraft, and the reason being is it's 1/8 inch thick versus 1/16. I actually think they have 1/16 as well, but sorry if that was really loud. Um, this is nice and thick for adding in thicker pieces. Typically, I prefer that thinner foam tape, but it's really nice to have this option when you're making shaker cards. So this is what I'm going to use today. And this is just going to look like a huge hot mess when all is said and done. Because I do want to make sure to tailor my shaker insides, my shaker mix, which is just going to be the clear iridescent drops. I do want to tailor those to stick mostly within there. So you'll notice my edges are really thin, and this I feel like would be really hard to cut. So what I'm going to do for these is I'm just going to double up on my thinner strips here and make sure I make a nice blockade for them. I think doubling up should be plenty out here. Yeah, it may not be exactly the same, but I think it's so. You're welcome, Teresa. Good. Get this guy in here. You know, sticker cards are so fun. I think we don't often think to do them live just because they can be a little bit tedious and maybe considered a little boring. Um, but I think that they are extremely fun. I'm just going to create some barriers for the jewels to kind of stay where I want them. Um, so I'm not feeling the need to really make like circles around the entire leaves, but just adding some barriers here and there so that the jewels won't stick in these areas where I don't want them. But anyway, I know that sometimes I think we maybe shy away from creating shaker cards live because, you know, this part of the sleeve, this part where I'm putting in all of the foam tape, it's a little tedious and it's a little boring. It's not something that you can really pre-do, of course. But so it's not something that we do frequently, but I think it's really fun to do this on occasion, just for giving some good ideas, giving some tips on how to create a shaker, even if I might not be as exciting as other techniques or card types out there. All right, I feel like I've got some good enough barriers there for my jewel to go in here. So next thing we need to do is get some jewels. I'm going to put jewels in here on my card, and I'm going to use our clear iridescent drops today. And I'm just going to get some shaken on here first, but I am going to remove all of the ones that are really the biggest ones. I don't really feel like those need to be in a shaker card. So I'm going to flip them. First things first. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, Diane. All right, and we're going to leave all of the small guys. on. And then once I get these all flipped, we are going to go and we're going to remove those bigger ones. And I might grab some additional small ones from the bag. Let's go ahead and grab these big ones that I don't want in the shaker just to see what I need to replace here. Mind some of those somewhat larger ones, but now I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to be a little bit more strategic. And we're going to grab some more small ones and get these in here. Of course, you could do this. You don't have to use jewels for this. You could use a sequin mix or something along those lines. I just wanted to use a Pinkfresh Studio product, of course. So, and I happen to have a ton of these clear iridescent drops. I kitted a class and I over purchased the clear iridescent drops. So I have a lot of them. And I thought, perfect use since I do seem to have kind of an overabundance. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to put these all within the confines of these leaves because I know that there's not any overlapping tape within the leaves here. And then I won't run the risk of them running into foam tape when I go to put the sticker piece on. I flip back over. Okay, feeling pretty good about that. So let's hopefully put that on. Yeah, like I mentioned, Teresa, like I said, I have a ton of these from just a class kitting, but you don't have to use jewels like this for your shaker mix. You could use something more affordable that you have more abundance of, like a shaker, like a sequin mix or something along those lines. You don't have to use your jewels. It's just I wanted to use Pinkfresh products, so I'm using clear drops today. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you, Erin. I know, Ruth. I actually agree with you on that. It feels like you use so many and your package is like to here. So you do get good quite amount in your pout of drops. All right. I am going to have to put this a little bit more over my head so I can see it a little bit better. So I apologize if this is a little off camera, but I just want to make sure that I do a decent job of lining it up over top of that. And there we have our shakers. And some of them still get a little caught. But how fun is that? All right, so there is our shaker card. So we have one more step to add. We're going to throw these detail layers on top, and then it's really pretty. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. All right, so I probably should have treated the sides of this foam tape with a little bit of powder because I can tell my jewels are kind of sticking to it. That's okay. I didn't think about it until it was too late. So I'll kind of pound on the sides there for a little after we're done here and work on getting them loose. So off camera, so before the live, in my live prep work, I did all of the die cutting and stacking of the detail layers just because I knew that the shaker part was going to take a bit of time. So I just cut each element with one layer of ivory glitter and then 3 layers of white cardstock, and I stacked and adhered those together. So let's get those nice and inlaid there. And I noticed some of the liquid glue did seep a little bit out onto um the acetate window. That's okay. It will dry clear, so not a huge deal. I can get some dots of glue. I don't need to glue to the whole things here. So while I'm gluing this, I wanted to chat a little bit about some happenings and goings on here at Pinkfresh Studio while I do this part. If you guys hadn't seen it, Heather and I are hosting and spearheading a new monthly Create and Connect class or event. It's called the Create and Connect Craft Along. We geared it as being a little bit more of an affordable type of event that you can join in. There is a bundle that we created where you get a little bit over 7% discount on the products we're using, and products are actually brand new from the July release. So, which we pretty much never discount new product for quite a few months. So that's kind of exciting. But the big thing is that you do not have to use the bundle. We've given ideas for other products that you may already own. You can pick from anything in your stash, and you can just join us. So it's a Zoom meeting. We'll start the Zoom meeting at 5:30 on that Friday. It's Friday. First one is Friday, August 18th. And you can sign on at 5:30 and we'll just kind of chat and get ready. And then at 6, class will start. And I say class, I mean, it is class, but it's also just a time to connect. And I think this month I'm going first. So I will teach my card for the first hour, and then we'll probably pause and chat a little bit. And then Heather will take over and she's going to teach her second card. And so the great thing about it is the cards are already made. They're when you purchase your registration, you get a download link that has a clickable Zoom link, and it actually already has a project PDF. So you can see the cards, you can do some prep work if you want to, you can pull all the products so that you're ready to go. And so we're really excited about that. So if you haven't registered yet, you can do so under the events tab on our website. You can still get the bundle. It's only available until this Thursday, and then we have to stop selling it just because for shipping purposes. So something to another way to create and connect and gain more education from Heather and myself. All right, we got to make a sentiment. So let's get going on that. So I'm going to go ahead and set my fun little shaker aside. I got some, there we go. Got to get the little shaker elements out. Anyway, let's grab, I'm beginning to think that I grabbed this color and I just think it's not the right shade. So give me a minute, friends, because I'm going to grab a different color of pink cardstock to do the sentiments on here. All right. Thanks for bearing with me while I pivoted on that, because we are going to use our basic banners everyday set. And you'll notice I cut the cardstock panel bit bigger. And the reason being is that this just needs, well, this would technically fit on an A2 size panel. The banner die needs a little bit more room in order to cut out all of the banners correctly. So I put this a little bit larger so I have more room on each side, and that just gives me plenty of room for those banners. So yes, Ruth, we plan on doing it every month. So I hopefully you will definitely be able to join in on a future one. And we are definitely really excited to hang out with you guys, have this more uh, affordable, a little less formal. It's still going to be a bit formal because we're teaching, but I think it's going to be super fun. All right, we are going to heat emboss these in white. So let's go ahead and get our cardstock panel prepped here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp all of the sentiments so I just have them. You don't have to. You could absolutely grab a piece of scrap cardstock and stamp only the sentiment you want to it. It'll never hurt your stamp, your one piece stamp, to stamp only one thing. Same with the one piece die. It'll never hurt to just stamp it and use it on one thing. But I am going to go ahead and do the whole or stamp all of them just so I have them on hand. I can use them for other cards in the future. And then I just have it already all done. I'm gonna stamp that one more time. All right. Oops. Right. I think we should be good on that. Go ahead and grab my white embossing powder here. Oh, goodness. That's a lot of canning. All right. That's looking good. Ooh, I think I missed a little bit right there. And I am, it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and close this up. Of course, I made a bit of a mess on my desk. I always do. And I have not bought one of those cute little vacuum things yet. So I'm just gonna wipe it down with a cloth. Elise, Heather and I, there's no real rhyme or reason to how we chose the product. We just kind of chose things that we felt like her and I could um, create relatively different projects. So you guys got some good variety in the class. So there's not really any rhyme or reason to what we chose. We just kind of we picked what we thought would work best for it. But I guess maybe what we were inspired to use. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and heat set this real quick. So we'll let that cool off and set up. Yes, the Create and Connect Craft Along, we will be uploading the replay on Monday, and we will email out the replay link, which will be valid for 3 months. It will expire after 3 months. It's also really important to note, if you're not subscribed to our emails, the email won't be able to make it to you. Unfortunately, because of email marketing laws, there's no way for us to send an email to you without you being subscribed. So we'll send it to everyone that purchased the Create and Connect Craft Along. But if you've unsubscribed or blocked us or reported us as spam, the email won't come through. So that's important to remember. All right. Okay, so there is that. Okay, so let's grab the banner die. I think it's safe to say that the next month's craft along will be holiday. All right, let's get our one piece die nice and lined up here. Grab a couple pieces of tape. All right, I feel like it's pretty good here. Move on through. Sure. All right. Lights off here. All stuck into the die. It's okay. How fun is this? I just love this concept that we came out with. All of these sentiments cut into banners for you. One easy swoop through your die cut machine. So much fun. I just love it. Now I have all of these sentiments to choose from for my card. I do think I'm gonna grab one where I already have a pre-cut version. And because I might want to offset it a little bit. So let's go ahead and grab our card here. Oh my God. And let's see here. I'm not completely sure what I want to use here. Estelle, all of this is available for purchase now. Yeah, I have everything linked in the description that I'm using. So everything I'm using today, you can currently purchase. It's kind of lovely. Decisions, friends. Hello, friend. That's always a good one. I say that word a lot. And I do have the piece that I can kind of juxtapose in there. I think I might go with hello, friend. I think that's going to be my choice. All right, let's glue it down to the glitter. This might be a bad call. It's clever. We're glue to set up on glitter, but we're going to do it. We're just going to do it. All right, kind of peek that out underneath. And then, you need quite that much. Just a nice little peek through on there. I like it the other way. Yep, I do. That's better. Great. Let's grab some foam. Just grab these little pieces that I already have ready. I moved it, of course, because the liquid glue is not set yet. No. Oh, Stella, I believe we are planning more sentiments for this set in the future. I actually think there will be a set in the next release. And 10th. I'll type the pieces all over there. Look at that there. All right. There is my card for the day. My fun shaker card. All right. So there we have it. And I am just right on time. I went 1 minute over. All right. I am going to flip this camera back to myself real quick here. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today and making this fun summery shaker card. It looks like Heather is already picking the winner here because I think she's got to head out. So congratulations to Barbara Walters. You've won today's $15 gift card code. Be sure to send me an email. My email is leah@pinkfreshstudio.com. There's no H on the end of my name. And give me 2 to 3 days to reply back to you. Before you head out, we mentioned the Create and Connect Craft-a-thon, but I also wanted to mention that the Create and Connect September Holiday Cards event registration has also reopened. This is final registration. It's open until August 20th. So you can get all of those details on our website now. But if you missed the first registration or on the fence or just couldn't register at that time and wanted to wait for the second registration, that is happening now. So if you want to join us for our upcoming holiday card making virtual event in September, now is the time to register. Registration is open, as I mentioned, through August 20th. And then that's it. We will not have any more registration after that because we got to get them shipped out. Okay, friends, safe travels, Heather. I will talk to you tomorrow when you're home. And to everyone else, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Don't forget, we do have a scrapbooking live this Thursday with Kathleen. This is our first episode of scrapbooking live with a little bit of our change. It is going to be a 90-minute live so that our 2 scrapbooking hosts have a little bit more time to get their layouts done, because layouts definitely take a little bit more time than a card does. So we hope you'll join us for that. Don't forget, we give away a $15 gift card code in our scrapbooking lives too. And we truly believe that you can garner inspiration for whatever type of paper crafting you do. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. And hopefully we'll see you here on Thursday.